It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, after last week we journeyed to a very wet part of the English countryside. This week we are going to be journeying across to France, and we're going to be journeying to Circuit de Neve's Magny-Cours. It has played host to Formula 1 races throughout the eras. It is known right the world over, and I love its current iteration as well. Tight, twisty chicanes, turns that double back on themselves, and oh boy, you can actually even partake in the MotoGP long lap penalty. Dave, do you think we should introduce the long lap penalty to esports racing? I think that'd be a great little penalty.
Actually, I don't mind it. I was watching MotoGP on the weekend at Phillip Island, as most of us were, and I was thinking, quite a good little system they've got, rather than the 5-second penalty or whatever. It's not a bad little system.
Yeah, I agree with it, because it's a very visible... Anything that's visible and shows to fans that are watching along at home exactly what the penalties are is a great system, and I will bang that drum till the cows come home, because it keeps our fans engaged, and that's what we want from it. So
I know. You see it. You see the person go off. You see how much time they lost and where they rejoin back in, and the race is the race. It's not... that like Lando last night, finishes third, but he's
please don't spoil it, Dave. Don't spoil it. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't had the opportunity. I have had 2 very long days, and I want to watch that race, and I can't start it yet.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Normally, I love how Monday night chats.
Mate, how the hell are you ever going to get to the point where you get to see it not knowing what's happened? Anyway, look at that track. What a great track.
So opened in 1960 with the current layout in operation since 2003. It is 4.4 kilometers in length, 17 turns, and for a Formula 4 machine, it creates a heck of a lot of overtaking potential, as well as the big thing I like about this track. There is a lot of... Sometimes you get tracks where the drivers really can't show their skill. There is a lot of opportunity to show your skill. Turn 9 in particular, it really cuts back on itself. That track map really does not pay that corner justice.
No, it doesn't. It's a very difficult corner. There's a lot of very difficult corners, and I know that the weather's not exactly nice. I think it's come over from England last week. It's now in France this week. But, a lot of the track, you're not going straight, and it's really hard to drive in the wet, because you're always turning and going from a left to a right to a left, and you can't do that offline because there is no offline.
Actually,
very difficult.
Well, something closer to what our safety car is, so I hope Lockie Capel's done his wet racing laps here tonight. But I actually did some GT4 driving. It still has a 4 in it. Around this circuit in the wet last week, and I tell you, it was a boatload of fun, because you're 100% right. It's a challenge. You got to search for it's a hybrid line around here. You don't take a specific line either way. Well, qualifying now in the books. It's a 2-minute flat. It's going to take the pole position. Ethan Morris has taken a few of these now this season. And he's going to line up alongside of our championship leader. That is going to be Daniel McCrowan. We'll be lining up alongside of him on the front row. Ocean Colangelo got their taste of for the first time in a V8 supercar yesterday. Didn't go very well, unfortunately, for Ocean, but back in her regular open wheel capacity alongside of our fourth place getter. Matt Morris and Ian Zhu are going to be on row number 3, and you can just see the time differential says that wet qualifying was definitely a big part of this one. Josh Marsh and Ashley Cutchy are going to make up row number 4. Chris Barnes and Nathan Favera are on row number 5, rounds out our top 10. 5 seconds back to get back here. Lee Peckham from Ben Ryder. Again, look at how challenging the qualifying was. Look how deep in the field Ben Ryder was as well. Jim Stoddart from Matthew Bakir all the way down in the field. Did Matthew Bakir find some way to get the underglow on that car? Because it looks nice in the bright red. Ron Long also manages to get the underglow going for him. Mason Harvey is going to be in 16th. Paul Thompson rejoins to the grid for the OG gear driver off alongside of Reese Rowland out of 17th and 18th. 9th row on the grid, and you can see how far back they're getting at this point in time. James Raymakers has got the right helmet on, I think, for racing action here tonight. 8 seconds off the pace alongside of Martin Lipsky. Rounds out our top 20. Daniel Coleman, not David Coleman, no, different driver. And 22nd, John Wayne and Darren Harris are going to round out our top 24. And the final driver on the grid, Aidan Schweikert, not setting a qualifying lap. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moments away from getting green flag racing. Get ready from the front end of the field. Ethan Morris is going to get the green off of pole position. How is he going to get the launch going? Where are they going to go? It is an incredibly wet circuit to never Magny-Cours, and the run on the way down into turn number 1. They are going to launch away. Who is going to pull it away? Ethan Morris did get a great jump up at the front. He is now relatively clear, and you see how slow they are crawling through this section of the racetrack. The rain is everywhere. The spray is thick. Is there a dry line anywhere? No, it's just survival of the wettest.
Boy, oh boy, if they all get through this first corner, it's a miracle. It is a serious miracle, because I think we've got a miracle.
Ashley Cutchy did manage to touch the curbing on the outside. Still managed to survive, though. There was a lot of crawling around from that car. I can tell you Mason Harvey is having a lot of activity in that car, and he's on the slippery line. Down the outside, everyone's looking for a little bit of an opening for a way to duck their way on through. Ocean Colangelo still managing to hang on to 3rd spot at the moment. Have a look at the entire field feeding down through the Adelaide hairpin. One driver started from pit lane. They will now form back in to the tail end of the field and try and cut their way back through. And I tell you what, Jason Depp, strong qualifying performance for him. And you got to cross over. That's
very wet. It's Scott. Very
wet. See the size of the puddles. See the size of those puddles. They are huge. And this next section of the track has got a dip in it, so there's going to be some water gathering for sure.
Yeah, there's no dry, even semi-dry part. It's just soaking. There's been heavy rain, obviously, here just prior to the start. It is. Oh.
The graphic says rain. It should say heavy rain. It's just not. And it's not going away anytime soon, so they're going to have to bear with it. Wet tyres might clear some of that water away, but we will just have to live with it as best as we possibly can. It's not going anywhere.
Moving around as he's coming down here in under brakes. There's a hard right-hander, big puddle on the inside there. Look how wet the curb is on those. This one, you've got to take the curb.
Ocean Colangelo just got tagged and turned, and I think it might have been Jason Depp that got into the back of them.
Look, it's nobody's going to give anybody too much of a hard time for that happening out there today. It's really difficult conditions, and everyone playing it very safe, doing a really, really neat job so far.
Can we go to a different driver? Because what we did see from Ethan Morris was a very clear track and he could see a lot. That is not the story for drivers a little bit deeper in the field. I can tell you, Ocean Colangelo and Jean Zhu, this little pack right here, have a look at the spray as they cross it over. A lot better than it used to be, but particularly with how low these cars are down on the ground, there is a lot of spray and you're looking directly through it. Look at that spray. Good thing the cars have got rain lights flashing on the rear end of them, otherwise they would be having a torrid time trying to see where you're going. Narrow line on the run down to a hairpin. You wouldn't think that would be the optimal line. It is in the wet.
Yeah, they're looking for the parts of the track that haven't been rubbered up, where the rubber hasn't filled the grain of the circuit. Well, cars ran everywhere there. Who was that backwards in the middle there? Jason Depp again. So Jason's having an awful start so far. But, it's all right. There's plenty of time to go and he's still in the field.
And I think Josh Marsh just went off. on the run down to turn 9, and yeah, I think that's him parked up there, and he's just got to wait for the whole field to trundle on by. There's going to be no hole for him to get out and get through. He's finally going to get a hole to rejoin the racing action.
Boy, they're cars going everywhere. It looks like Woolworths on a Saturday morning.
Oh, Reese Rowland touches a curb, touches some paint. Get off that curb, please get off that curb. Reese Rowland finally does manage to find a way through. And another one around is Ben Ryder, who is struggling in the wetter conditions as well.
Oh, another one round.
Chasing down. There's Boulder Wide.
Oh dear.
Tell you what, in all of this, Matt Morris has skipped through. He now sits in second plot. Daniel McCrowan's had an issue. McCrowan's in the pit lane. He's broken something. He has. His right rear tyre is hanging off of that car.
And no rear wing. He's obviously made a mistake there somewhere.
This
He's have to wait for a repair too. Here we go. We're going to get a replay. I bet there's a replay coming from our fantastic director. Here he goes. Yep, and that's off across the oval and bang into the fence. Now, where has that happened?
Just on the run down to the final corner.
On the run down to the final corner. He's lost it under brakes here, I guess. Yep. There's gone. Wow.
It was just much too far left. He was on a slightly rubbered in line. That's why it's gone around on him.
Oh.
But, that is an important one.
Luckily, not too far to the pits from there.
And I can tell you, he's just resurfaced to get back into the race. So he now sits last and 25th.
Whoop. I've got, believe it or not, Scott, they let the chopper up in this weather. I've got the chopper view on the other screen, keeping an eye on things, and I can't believe they let it fly in this condition.
Yeah, I can't either. Well, let's spot him as you dare.
Oh,
I can tell you.
Someone backwards.
But she's gone around again.
Ashley Cutchy ran the wrong way.
Let's have a look at these two going too wide at the moment. Feeding all back in. This is Aiden Schweikert, who started from the tail end of the field, cutting his way through. He's up to sixth. From the rear of the field, he's got to 6th.
Yep.
What the? Oh.
Or as Yuki would say, how does this happen? How did that happen? I'm giving things away here.
He'll cut the chicane, he'll pick up the slowdown penalty, but in wet conditions, it was survival of the fittest, and he chose the safe option.
And the slowdown doesn't really work in the wet because you're going slow anyway, so in a lot of times the slowdown doesn't really actually slow you down.
Ben Ryder also had an issue on lap 1, which has been reported as no further action. So, in the meantime...
Sliding in the wet. Doing a good job, though. 7th place at the moment, so...
Someone around on the start-finish straight as well.
This track is real... There's very little...
It's Ashley Cutchin. I think he's just requested a tow.
Pointing the wrong way. No, pointing the right way. This track, there's hardly a straight piece of road on it. It makes it so hard in the wet.
Oh boy, safety car has been deployed. Have they got the monsoon tyres available to them tonight?
I think it's a safety tinny tonight. We've got Lachlan's out in a boat.
So, field is now going to be collected. At the moment, we're just waiting to try and pick up our leader. Yep. So, keep an eye out for Ethan Morris, who does lead the way on the run down to the final couple of corners. And I get the feeling they're going to try and kick this one through as quickly as possible because we are going to lose a lot of racing time. We're already 8 minutes through this one.
Yeah, you don't get many laps in the wet, do you, Scott? You get a lot less laps when it's wet because the lap time's so much slower. I don't know.
go everywhere as well because you've got to try and keep up with everything that's happening. Matt Morris has had reasonable pace, cut his way through. Second, Schweikert.
They're about 25 seconds slower in the wet than they are in the dry.
Well, to call this wet is like saying the ocean is a pond. This isn't wet. This is torrential.
It is pretty torrential, isn't it?
So I do feel scared for our safety car pulling away. It's a good thing we've got a very well versed driver behind the wheel of that one.
And luckily he's got some headlights so he can see where he's going.
It's a shame the wipers and iRacing only have one speed, because I reckon right now Lockie might want an extra speed. Good thing the rain is only digital, because the benefit for all those drivers sitting behind the wheel of these Formula 4s is that the tubs they're currently sitting in would be filling up with water as we circulate at this speed.
Yes.
And those race suits would be quite damp as well.
It's very, very, very damp. Very damp out there.
We've only gone a couple of laps and we're still waiting for the rear end of the field to rejoin the queue. So far behind were they. Daniel McCrowan's got a big issue, I think, here tonight. But the benefit for him, he gained a spot near the safety car. And he's going to rejoin the tail end of the field as well, which I think will be quite important. Oh, he put the brakes on and they just didn't work.
Good save. Big save. He actually braked there so he didn't overtake the guy in front of him under the yellow flag. When he hit the brakes, it's locked the rears, got all sideways. It was beautifully held.
Yeah, so Daniel McCrowan automatically called himself in. He said, "Oh, sorry guys, I tried to stop, but I just couldn't." So he did actually report himself to race control and said, "Hey, I did overtake potentially. I didn't. There was no intent to."
No, look, it's a good experience for the guys. It doesn't rain very often. You know, we've got 8 rounds. If it's wet for one, you know, that's fair. I think when iRacing released the rain, everybody had, you know, it was the wettest year on the digital planet's ever seen because every race was wet. But they've sort of got over that now, and the occasional drop in a wet race is quite good.
And I can wholeheartedly agree with that as well. I like a few more wet races than the average person, to be fair. It's a different skill set. It's a completely different skill set.
Yep.
So, at the moment, Ethan's got control of the field. And 8 minutes on the clock as well. Can anyone go with Ethan Morris? Matt Morris has been capable of it. Good launch will be important. And the field is about to get bottled up yet again. I'm interested to watch this one. We're all watching, Lockie. Don't spin it.
I was thinking, I hope you remembered to put the wets on it.
He did. I can confirm. He did put the wets on. I have a feeling these days that the wet tyre is the default tyre they stick on that car. You can drive wet tyres in a dry session, you can't put dry tyres on in this session. So, anyway, field is in the hands of Ethan Morris as we come through to the final chicane, and he's gone just before we get to the apex, and Ethan Morris has got a huge old slide on. They did cross the control line, so I think they crossed the control line before the overtakes were made, so Ethan Morris has lost those spots and lost them legitimately.
Yeah, no, he's back to... Oh, the big moment there from Ocean.
Lee Peckham tumbling down the order as he goes spinning in the first corner. I can also tell you Ian Zhu ran off at the second corner as well.
Yeah, and that was the one I saw Ian Zhu have a huge moment. Schweikert making moves there on Mason Harvey. Down the outside, trying to get down the outside into this tight hairpin. There's quite a bit of grip around the outside, so he's probably going to pull that off, I reckon.
Well, he's going to get down the inside because the braking zone's better on the right-hand side of the road and manages to pull it up. But in the meantime, around the outside, Mason Harvey loses that spot. Aiden Schweikert, 25th to 5th, plus 20 spots at the moment and on the move.
Yep. And Mason Harvey's up 10 as well, which isn't a bad little effort of his own. So you have
Pretty
two.
wide. Daniel McCrowan's just gone around Daniel Coleman, who's gone through the grass and into the fence, we believe. And McCrowan's cutting his way through the field. Started 24th. Cutting his way through. Another car going off. Is that Paul Thompson? I think it might have been the 22 entry. Everyone is just crawling around as they get to the hairpin. There's a bunch of drivers that are suddenly dropping down the orders. I can tell you, Schweikert.
There's another one playing in the mud.
Schweikert is having a go at Ian Zhu at the moment. Back up for fourth spot. Schweikert did just get the job done as they come around the hairpin right down the tail end of the lap. The run to the final couple corners, the run to the chicane. The wet weather comes out and havoc has been wreaked upon our field. Ethan Morris trying his best to get around Ocean Colangelo. Zhu missed his braking marker in the changeable conditions now as well. Colangelo's in a little bit of trouble, managing to try and go with Matt Morris. Morris has got a 1 second lead at this point in time. And someone's got around into the chicane as well. It'll be Matthew Bakir, I think, who's just gone around out of that chicane, but he's managed to catch it back up. Oh, Schweikert's gone around. There you go, just shot through the bottom end of that screen. Manages to catch it.
And,
loses 2 spots, and around goes Ian Zhu just in front of him. Whoa! Hangs onto it. Everyone's playing dodging cars at this moment, except it's not so much beating and banging, it's just dodging cars.
Who's that in the bush?
Around.
Playmakers.
Where do you keep your eyes at this point in time?
In the background. That's ridiculous. They're really struggling with this car in the wet. It's I think maybe it's wet tyres a little bit hard, possibly.
I was going to say, I think this is red flag conditions, just watching what we're looking at this point in time. But hey, we'll continue on.
Just hilarious every time you see someone off and there's somebody else spearing off sideways, backwards.
Do wonder what we've got to look forward to when we get across to our pro split. Martin Lipsky's into the pit lane, potentially getting some damage repaired. Kutchi got back out there, and I'm actually just watching, keeping an eye on Aiden Schweikert myself at the moment.
So Morris now leads by 1.5 seconds from Colangelo. Oh, someone else has gone there in the background. Ethan Morris is a further 1.1 or 2.2 seconds back now. So that's Darren Harris around. So
Rivera is dropping a few spots at the moment, so we think he might have dropped a couple.
And then Schweikert's now lost 7 seconds on the leaders, so that's a big gap from one little spin. So it might have been more than one issue.
It was under green flag. I mean, sorry, dry conditions. It would have been a lot more time. So we do have an update from race control regarding Daniel McCrowan. In that moment, we did see, just before we went back to green flag racing, 5-second post-race penalty for McCrowan. Even though there was no intent to overtake whatsoever. Rules are rules.
Yep, it's an overtake, it's an overtake.
Which I hate, but I love at the same time, because it is being consistent, so...
Yep.
Look at Ray. Amazing Colangelo looking for Ethan Morris, who appears out of the doom and out of the gloom to try and have a run. Not able to do anything about it. At the moment, Ethan Morris might just have to sit here and just watch. And
Barnes.
I think there's been a little bit of a Morris moment for Matt Morris. Chris Barnes just cut through, and then there was somebody around in the background. Daniel McCrowan goes for a spin and loses nothing, by the way.
That was sort of rally style, wasn't it? Sort of slide it in.
Pick up the throttle.
Pick up the throttle and exit. Square it off and exit. Oh, another.
Michael Gillespie struggling with the paint down here at turn 2, going backwards, unfortunately.
It's Matt Morris, our leader, here in the dusk and the gloom and the the rain and the fog. Bruce had a real test for everyone tonight, but he's done a fabulous job to get through. Got that little windfall on the restart there.
And Martin Lipsky's just called for a tow, and we're under the 5 minutes to go, so you should be okay to pop that one out.
Oh, he's right near the tow.
Double check as well.
Checking the back of the safety car. Yeah, so what are we looking? Minute 29, so we've probably got 2 laps?
Yeah, actually, leader's just gone through, so with the lap times at the moment in excess of 2 minutes, I reckon we have taken the white flag. Yeah, I've just seen Barney has got the white flag in hand, so we are on the final lap of the race. And Barney will be right there in the background of that top.
Yep, white flag's flying. So Morris leads by 2.6 seconds, but the battle on is between Colangelo and Morris here. Nothing
huge
between
battle.
Morris trying to go rounding outside of her on the run down to the hairpin. This will be a big challenge under brakes, and if everyone can keep it straight, and can you run around the outside? Can you find some more grip, a bit more purchase on the exit of the corner there? It's pretty much side by side. There's nothing in this. You're running up to that really fast right left. Well, it's really fast in the dry.
Oh! Unfortunately, on the rubbered line out there for Ethan Morris, has to cut the corner as well, so he had to lift out. Rossi was going to go sailing back across the track, and Ocean's just pushing him to the lines he doesn't want to be on at this point in time.
That's the problem, is it's really hard to get past someone because you get off the line, you're just in the really wet stuff and there's no grip at all. So this is another very difficult bit up here where you go like over this crest, go right, and then you go left. This left is super slippery.
Got to cross over that wet line, and then where do you brake for this final corner? You want to go right the way around the outside because there is a little bit of slick line. That's where it feeds back on, but you can maintain the momentum. But Ocean can just pick up the throttles with so much more traction on the right-hand side of the road. The run down to the final complex of corners. He's going to have a crack as Ethan Morris over on the slippery stuff because, well, he's going to have a crack. It's the last lap. Pinch his brake. He cannot pull the car up. In the meantime, Matt Morris says there was only one mistake made all night by Ethan Morris, and I was here to pick up all the pieces. Takes a win.
Colangelo second and Morris in third. That was a great piece of defensive driving by Colangelo there to hold Morris out. Schweikert should come home fourth from the back of the grid, which is...
And Daniel McCrowan nearly has a spin, bounces over the curbs, trips over Jim Stoddart for a funsies. And there would be a slowdown penalty issued for that. Did he clear it in time?
Oh, dear. Oh, look at him sideways.
You just want to be out there. I get the feeling you want to be out there, Dave.
Oh, it's just fun. That looks like a lot of fun.
It's hard to drive. Looks like fun. Darren Harris has got the job done over John Wayman in the background. Reese Rolland and James Raymakers are going at each other. And it's going to be Raymakers from Rolland.
Oh, trying to get on the power, and the car's sliding as they're trying to get on the power. It's getting sideways, and...
And Ryder's had a torrid night tonight.
Yeah.
He's just been off the road. He can't figure out this wet driving stuff, so... He's going to come home ahead of Nathan Favero. All the way down outside the top 20, unfortunately. And just still more cars crawling around.
Yeah, they're still coming. Well, that's our winner there, Matt Morris.
Is it just me, or are they all continuing on as if they haven't received the checkered flag yet?
Yeah, they're just continuing to have a bit more fun, Scott. They're going to get every lap of fun out of this that they can get.
Well, congratulations to Matt Morris, is going to take out that race win from Ocean Colangelo. Ethan Morris is going to come home in third. Aiden Schweikert will be ruining the fact he didn't put a qualifying time together. He could have come home on the podium. Would have been awesome to chat to him when he did so. Mason Harvey home in fifth. Daniel McCrowan recovered from the rear end of the field after that safety car to 6 will have 5 seconds added to his post-race time, which is going to drop him in behind Chris Barnes. So Jin stood up for me and Zhu, Chris Barnes, and then McCrone will come home in 9th spot. Chase and Depp will round out our top 10. 42 seconds, very close to 43 seconds off the lead. Josh Marsh will be outside at 10th spot, 11th for him. Darren Harris, John Wade, James Raymakers, Reese Rowland, Daniel Coleman, Paul Thompson. All these guys having a lot of trouble. All the way back outside a minute. Lee Peckham, Matthew Bakir, and Ronald Long. Round out at our 20. And here we get into the drivers who struggled all night long. Ben Ryder, Nathan Favero, Michael Gillespie. Cutchley to get back onto the lead lap. Will beat Martin Lipsky home 2 laps down, not making the end of the race, unfortunately, for Lipsky. And that is that from our sport category. That flew by. I couldn't keep an eye on where things were going on. We're going to have an opportunity to chat to our race winner. So we'll start with Matt Morris. Matt, that was not just a wet affair, it was a torrential affair, mate. Are you praying for more monsoon rain as the season progresses?
I don't know. That was some parts there I didn't know if it was going around or not. It was like, hold on and just hope it doesn't.
Mate, challenging conditions, I think, for everyone. Ethan had one moment in front of you all race long. That was all you needed to sneak through and grab that win. But yeah, talk to us about the conditions. That was so dicey trying to keep that car on track.
Yeah, on the racing line, like the traditional racing line, like it was slippery as. If you touched it, just touched the brakes, you were just going for a slide. So off the racing line was pretty, like you had some grip, but then the transitions where you cross over the racing line, that's where it was slippery as, like unbelievably slippery. And with these cars, it's like it's not progressive loss of grip. It lets go.
In terms of things, it's been quite a fun season thus far. Just getting to shop and rip and tear around in smaller open wheel cars. You've been enjoying the fun thus far?
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad I'm going all right in these cars. I haven't really done much in them, so just jumped in the FRG for the series they put on, and there, I'm enjoying the car quite a bit.
Finally, mate, floor is all yours to thank all the sponsors that make it possible for you.
Yeah, just Neuropower, FRG, and SimSpeed for putting it all on. Thanks a lot.
Mate, congratulations on the race win here tonight, and we'll let you go and pick up a towel to start drying off, I think.
Thank you very much, man. You have a good one, eh?
Have a good night, Matty. We'll take one step down on terms of the podium and chat to one of the youngest drivers going around in sim racing at the moment. Ocean jumped in a V8 supercar yesterday. It didn't go all that well, did it, Ocean? Good thing that you got to have a swim around in a Formula 4 today.
Yep, it was definitely a challenge. I was just trying to hold on, trying to keep Ethan behind there the last few laps and just keep the car pointed straight.
Very difficult prospect, and an opportunity to chat to Daniel McCrone prior to the racing. Did you know, McCrone was a touch quicker in terms of qualifying, so started a few places further forward. I guarantee you guys would have been talking about the setup and trying to get the car settled down all night long. How vital is it having his support?
Yeah, it's definitely helped a lot. Great to be with the new team, and hopefully I can learn a few more things off of them.
Thus far throughout the season, it's been a little bit of a challenging one. Cadwell Park didn't go your way last week. You saw a lot of graphical gremlins and things going along, but good to have you back in the server this week. Who would you like to give a thank you to?
I'd like to give the thanks to my new team, Max Boost, for helping me out this week, and all the guys for putting up and making this race possible.
Thank you very much for your time, Ocean. Have a lovely evening, and like we just said to Matt, I think it's time to go and dry off.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Finally, we'll have a quick chat to Ethan Morris just before we jump into qualifying for the Pro Split. And Ethan, that was a challenging little affair. You made one mistake, but that's all it takes.
Yeah, pretty sad with myself after that restart. But, I mean, the worst part really was being on that main straight after almost losing it and immediately realizing what my mistake was, you know. So just thinking, why couldn't I have thought of that, 5 seconds earlier? But here's what it is, it's still third, almost second, but on that last lap, it's with how sketchy it was, the moment I get on the brakes trying to outbrake Ocean, I'd feel the rears starting to go, and I'm just thinking, don't take each other out. But yeah, I'm happy with third. End of the day, still decent points. So, and I mean, a hell of a lot of fun either way, no matter where I finish, because that kind of sketchiness is always a good time.
Just chatting to Ocean. She did a great job pinning you on some of the more difficult parts of the circuit. Were you enjoying battling? I mean, somebody so young, Ocean only being 14, it's a challenging prospect, but a good opportunity to test somebody who's making their way through.
Yeah, they certainly knew how to sort of keep it hard for me. I know, especially in that last lap, I was trying to make sure that I sort of, I'm not trying to barge them around, but I'm trying to make sure I stay on off of that slippery, rubbery line. But then it's just a matter of, in some cases, they're just keeping me so the left side of my car is just in that little sketchy bit, and then basically I can't do a thing. I've got to brake early, otherwise I'm just going to spin or go way off. So really well done from them to sort of just keep me behind. And even then, if I hadn't made my own mistake, I might not have been there in the first place. So it's no fault them, trying to defend second. It was just good, hard racing.
Mate, finally, floor is all yours to give the thank yous and the shout outs that you'd like to give, and pleasure chatting to you once again.
Big thanks to the guys doing race control. I found it pretty funny. I mean, it obviously wouldn't have come through for you guys, but when they were introducing all the things for today, it was they really started off with a "You're welcome" for the wet conditions, and I did get a good chuckle out of that. So yeah, I think the fact that we are getting these sort of bit sketchier races where it's sort of a little bit up in the air as to what goes on, rather than just sort of perfect conditions dry every week, it always sort of throws a bit of a spanner in the works, and that always makes it a lot better.
Mate, congratulations on a third place, and commiserations on not being a win, brother.
Thanks, mate. But we'll be back next week, so see how we go then.
All right, see you again next week. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the rounding out of our podium from the Sports Split, qualifying in order for the Pro Split. I can tell you it's just about halfway through at this point in time. We'll be back in just a few moments with all the action from Pro.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, thanks for bearing with us as we took a short breath to resupply, and I've got bad news for all of our fans watching along at home. All that torrential downpour has left the circuit. It is bone dry for the Pro Racing server, and as soon as I found that out, a very audible boo was issued within the commentary box, because that was some of the most fun we've seen. But the Pro Split had their opportunity to mess with the rain last week at Cadwell Park, and boy didn't that create some fun as well. That was a unique experience, and we'll return to Circuit de Nevers Magny-Cours in Magny-Cours, France, for the next round of the Australian F4 Championship Pro Split. And championship standings now for where this one is looking towards, because Damon Woods has got a vice grip at the top, but everywhere else it could be anyone's game.
Wow, that's a big lead, Scott. 78 points. I can't see anybody pulling that back in. Zach White's been a real star of the series as well, doing extremely well there, leading the rest of the pack, the fight for second. And Dylan Burst and Kane Ryder, they're all within good reach of Zach White, but I think Damon Woods is going to be pretty hard to catch.
Indeed he is. He's ahead of Zach Ratchray White. Dylan Burst is pursuing and will do everything in his power. Kane Ryder stepped up from the Sports Split into the Pro Split for Formula 4 after a strong showing in the Formula Fords, and he sits ahead of Benjamin Roberts. Who would have predicted that one? That created a great racing in the Formula Fords, and it's continued to do so over here as well. Kalen Chin, who was the wet weather specialist and nearly took himself out a Super Formula Light title back at the start of the series, of the year even, and he sits a little bit further back in 6th. Isaac Becker from Caleb Hydes. Job Stewart all the way back down in 9th. 190 points off of the lead of the championship, and a tie, a dead heat for 10th in the standings. 192 points off the lead of the championship. So from 7th, it is 2-point gaps, except for the tie, down at equal 10th. Those guys are on the same point, but that has just been the dominance of Damon Woods. He's been so quick and so consistent.
You've got a few people missing again tonight. Job Stewart hasn't returned. I mean, a bit difficult. He's got a lot of real-world racing commitments, so he's here when he can be. But it's a bit of a pity. But again, we can see Zach Rattray White, they're taking it to Damon Woods, fastest in qualifying so far. Difference here in Pro Open qualifying, so they're all on the track together trying to do a lap time. Whereas in Sport, it's individual laps, so you do it by yourself. But it makes it a little bit more of a challenge here, where you're trying to find clear track and not get held up and try and search for a bit of a toe to maybe give you a bit of extra speed. So this is far from over yet. There's still 3 minutes in qualifying to go, and we've seen Damon Woods do that last lap blinder more than once in this season so far.
Track conditions as it is on screen, 24 degrees Celsius out on the circuit, only 20 in this part of France at this time of year. 54% humidity as well on the wind, only 12 kilometers an hour, so it's a little bit calmer than it has been in a lot of iRacing servers of late. That wind has been horrendous, though I've seen a fair bit of late. Rattray White at the moment does have the top of the time sheets covered, and by 0.2 of a second, he is setting the timing sheets alight. Damon Woods has got to come and chase him down. Isn't that a statement?
Sure is.
And at the moment, Kane Ryder's doing not too bad for himself. How about the qualifying performance from Jordan Mazzaroli? He's not necessarily had that pace thus far this season, but that is a lot better looking for him. Sebastian Vandel's found some speed as well.
Yep. And Danny Davidson knocking on the door of that top pack all the time. Just needs to find that extra little tenth or two each week, and he'd be right in the mix. So if he had 2 tenths quicker, he'd be up in 4th place. You know, it's so tight at the top. You just got to have those. You've got to find that time. So looks like Rattray White has backed off here. Vandel's still having a bit of a go for it and trying to set a hot one. In a minute 53, so I'm going to guess Rattray White maybe just backing off just to cool things down a little bit and find a bit of clean air or a bit of a toe or something and have another go.
I can tell you Dylan Burst is trying to set a quick lap at the moment, and he is in the middle of a whole bunch of traffic, actually having a battle out on track for track position with Seth Burchards. So he's in a little bit of a dicey position at this point in time. All of these guys are squabbling over track position right now, and the car that was just ahead is Mazzaroli. He is going to bail out of this one, and Dylan Burst is also going to bail. Damon Woods is going to try and pick himself up a double toe at this point in time. There's some timing coming together, and if that was a double toe down that straightaway for Damon Woods, this has got an opportunity to be another last lap wonder for the Eclipse Sim Sports and Door Esports driver. Again, continues to just challenge things down the inside, looking for an overtake. And Damon Woods clears the traffic
may have ruined that lap for him.
Yeah, so that may be qualifying over, and Burst's lap is done as well. Now they're all going to jump in front of Eddie Burst. Have they got time? They're just going to get... they're on the fringes of getting these laps in. They have to press on if they want one more crack. Which means we've got 24 seconds.
Third in the queue there.
I can tell you Seth Burchards is the third car in queue. Eddie Beswick. And then Jordan Mazzaroli just trending around at the tail end of it. Burst dives, no, Damon Woods dives out of the queue. So Woods is not going to get pole position. His run is over. 6 seconds, all of this group will get these laps in. They have just all crossed the timing beam to start their final lap of qualifying. Dylan Burst is the driver who's going to have to go out and set the world alight to try and steal a pole position away from Zach Rattray White. Such are the standings on track at this point in time, and will there be an opportunity? There's some more cars whose qualifyings are over in the middle of the lap as it currently stands. Down in the final sector, I can tell you, 14th spot is Geordie Slater, still trying to come back to the start-finish line, finish a flying lap as well.
Chris Mitchell's back a bit tonight. He's been really good in qualifying. There's a big sideways there. That would have lost some time. Yeah, Mitchell's been really, really good.
Dylan Burse, qualifying is over.
Yep. So where's Benjamin Roberts? 10th. When is Benny Roberts? When have you seen him qualify in 10th place?
Well, we'll see if he can improve on this one. It's going to have to come out right here, right now, and there will be no lap. So he's the furthest he will start up the grid is 10th, and there are still a bunch of cars that are on a lap. By the way, Matt Ciroli is still on a lap at this point in time. Burchardt is having some sort of issues, technically, as he's still trying to get his lap together.
We've got Mitchell Albert has got 2,000 ping, so his connection's really, really bad. Hopefully he can fix that for the race.
That's Ciroli's going to come down into the final sector and see if he can have a crack at this one. There's 3 drivers that are on a lap at this point in time. Seth Burchardt's, Kalen Shin, and Matt Ciroli. Matt Ciroli gets back to the line, and he was about a 10th of a second down on his time. Did not improve. Kalen Chin sets a lap late on in the session, puts himself on the second row, and the very final driver to the line in qualifying does improve.
Wow.
So qualifying standings, and he's going to rip another one away from Damon Woods, and this is the first time we've seen Damon Woods off of the front row. Zach Rattray White and Dylan Burse are going to be on the front row. Damon Woods from Kalen Shin is going to be on row number 2. On row number 3, Kane Rudder from Jordan Mazzaroli. It's going to be an interesting one. Strong qualifying performance from Mazzaroli. Sebastian Vandel is going to be ahead of Caleb Highlights. They're inside top 10. Final few drivers inside that top 10. Chase Saxfield manages to out-qualify Benjamin Roberts by 5 thousandths of a second. That's one he'll stick on the fridge right home about. Eddie Beswick is going to be just outside of the top 10, ahead of Denny Davison, 11th and 12th. Isaac Becker is going to be ahead of Geordie Slater as well, at 13th and 14th. Chris Mitchell is going to be in 15th, and he's only 19 thousandths of a second ahead of Hayden Millington. 15th and 16th. 8th row on the grid. 9th row on the grid is going to be Mitchell Albert, just ahead of Callum Newton. Callum Newton, 5 thousandths outside of getting into under 1 second behind the race leader. Alex Beswick from Thomas Donahue going to be the last 2 drivers inside of our top 20. Alex Wilson and Vaughan Ryder, the first drivers outside of that 20. Vaughan off the pace quite significantly. He won't be happy with that one. And final driver in the field, Seth Burchard, just did not get a valid quick qualifying lap together.
It is an easy track to get a off track on, Scott. So it's not surprising that some people who've really failed to put in a decent lap, you know.
There's something that was just mentioned. Actually, we're going to go green flag, but I will mention it at one point in the broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the F1G Pro Split drivers. This one for a Motorsports Australia Championship. Green flag in the air. The run down to turn number 1. Rattray White will lead them away. Dylan Burse is going to try and follow him along through. Woods will manage to get his way into 3rd. The deepest in the field he's been for the bulk of the season. He's got some work to do if he wants to go out there and overtake a couple of drivers. 4th spot is going to manage to be slotted into by Kalen Shin, and he'll try and hang on to that one from Kane Ryder. Matt Ciroli all the way down in 6th spot. Can he try and improve? A mega tow as they head down the long straightaway for the first time to the Adelaide hairpin. Who is going to send the dive bomb? Here comes Woods. Woods is going to have a crack down the inside. Kalen Shin sees the opportunity to open up to the outside. They all bounce over the curb. 4 wide in the middle of the pack as well. Goes Benny Davison.
Danny. He really doesn't have a lot of luck out there.
And he's on the comms. He's on the blower to race control straight away. He reckons there might have been a touch worth of contact in that one, but he was 3 or 4 wide. There was not a whole bunch of space that was available to him. Now they'll all try and cut their way through down at turn number 9 for the first time here tonight. The Pro Split drivers, and you can see them. Keep your eyes up. There's damage to one of those cars just there. Is that Vandel? I think it might be Sebastian Vandel with damage to the left front corner of that wing. That might have been the car with contact on Denny Davison. Side by side as they cut their way through the chicane. Ben Roberts is trying to get on the aggression. Qualifying didn't go his way. He's already grabbed 2, up to 8. Here comes Saxiel, who'll try and slot it down the inside as well.
Yeah, so Vandel's struggling there with a little bit of damage on the front. Probably got a little bit of understeer as a result of that. But Saxiel's, he's close enough down the inside, yep. And that,
He's not the only one. Oh, and around they both go, and now they'll go tumbling down the order. Saxiel had a reasonable qualifying effort, was just in and around the 10. Now he'll slide to the tail end of the field, and he'll be thoroughly annoyed with that one, but now he's got some work to do. Have a look at the pack moment that's really created. Becker, Millington, Beswick all go filing on through as well. And now it's going to be Chris Mitchell who looks at 11th spot and says, hey, I'm just outside the top 10 here. Anything can happen from here. He has gained a number of spots on the opening lap. How about Geordie Slater's first lap? He is +5 to sit inside the top 10 at this point in time.
Vandel's got more damage again after that incident with Saxiel, so there was more damage on the front of that car. He's got to be hurting now.
I think he was definitely hurting. Alex Beswick up 8 spots. Burchards is on the move as well, but Burchards is definitely having some sort of connection issues at this point in time. Rattray White leads by 3 tenths of a second. Damon Woods is nearly over a second from our... In fact, he was over a second from the race lead. He is just barely hanging onto the tail of Dylan Burst. He's got a problem. He's not got speed tonight.
It's a tough track, this place. It really is a tough track, and you've got to do a lot of laps. There's a lot of tricks to doing a fast lap around here, and finding speed. And it's not always the obvious line around here. So might be just finding it a bit hard. May not have spent as much time as he should have, or needed to. So opportunity knocks for everyone else.
Update on the incident from lap number 1. Danny Davison did pick up contact. The car that caused it, Chris Mitchell. 10-second post-race penalty to Chris Mitchell for that one.
Oh.
Past the slap, Caelan Chin picks up a world of draft and tries to pull himself forward. No one around out of the chicane. Tries to hold it outside the... Yeah, they all managed to avoid it, so that's at least the benefit there.
So he's going to come backwards back onto the road there for a minute. Yeah. He's having a tough night. Tough night in the office tonight.
Dylan Burst trying to fill the rear view mirror, by the way, of Zach Rattray White, but Rattray White will still lead the pack as they get down towards the hairpin. Woods is starting to close, though, at least take some time back out, so he has played back into the draft. Wonder whether or not he was just trying to bring the tyres in, or whether there was a cold time moment, a little bit of a bubble.
And of course, these guys will have a pit stop in this race, which they don't have in the sport class. But where they'll take that, they'll probably wait as long as they can to make it as short a stop as possible.
Yeah, 15 minutes was the qualifying period. 30 minutes the race. We expect a pit stop. There is enough fuel in the tank to get them deep into the race, but not all the way. So strategy will be, when do they come to the lane? If you think you're going to overtake Dunn, might come a touch earlier. We're only small engines here, Dave, and every drop of fuel out of that tank, it really does count in terms of lap time.
Yeah, and because they're a light car, 1 kilo makes a lot of difference to a car, a lot more difference to a car that weighs, 700 kilos than it does to a car that weighs 2,000 kilos. So fuel is a really big thing in these cars. And the good thing is the balance of the car doesn't change, because the fuel tank's right in the middle. It's right under their seat. So between their back, the sort of angle of the back of their seat and the front of the engine is where the fuel tank sits, so that it's always centrally located, so that when the fuel goes down, it doesn't change the balance of the car by making the back get light or the front get heavy or whatever.
One of the big keys as well that on the other side is that you want that fuel cell protected, so it's very difficult first to be contacted should the worst happen.
It sounds bad that you're sitting on it, but it's in a rubber bladder tank, and they're pretty safe. They can still be pierced and still cause trouble, but they're pretty safe. The main thing is just getting them in the right place in the car so that the balance is always consistent with the vehicle as the fuel level changes. But it certainly gets faster when you've got less fuel in it.
Much lighter, lower centre of gravity as well.
It's difficult here. Bit sort of blind. The first one's a bit of a blind crest, and then there's quite a lot of glare on the road there for Damon as he went into that second one. The glare on the road makes it hard to see the apex here trying to hit. So,
big key for this group of cars, including Kaylin's Jr. sits at the back of it. They're all lifting off on the run down to the Adelaide hairpin. Gets quite close to the back end of Dylan Burst before they bounce over the final chicane. I can tell you, it's Dylan Burst and Damon Woods still yet to set a valid lap time. They are utilising every bit of the racing surface and then some beyond it.
And that's fine. It's the same for everybody. It's not like F1 and things where you run off and you get a track limits violation. This is, if one person can use it, the next person can use it. So it's the fairest way of doing it.
Yes, they don't have the infinite budget of F1, which requires individual people to be keeping an eye. Actually, I think it's managed by AI these days that get a detection and then it triggers a prompt for somebody to actually go and investigate that car.
The Kane Riders here, he's in that gap in the middle, so he's not quite fast enough to hang on to the front four, but he's pulled a good 2 seconds over Caleb Hyde's back in sixth. So Kane's having a bit of a quiet run in the middle, bit of lock break there I saw. Yep, at least to not slow anyone down, but Kane's doing a great job here. Sort of, he's just for a guy that came out of our Formula Ford series last time, or earlier in the year, he's doing a fantastic job of getting himself right at the front of the field. And doesn't that car look beautiful? Beautiful paint job. They got some sponsors involved. How good is this to see young guys coming through, getting in at the base level of Formula Ford and working their way up through the different classes of FRG. Great to see.
It certainly is. And I'll take an opportunity.
In the pits, Ben Roberts straight in the pits.
Ben Roberts is going to be the guy to trigger the undercut.
Oh, that was sideways in the background.
I'm going to take a moment of our own air coverage here tonight to just extend just a thought to everyone out there. I do want to say a very swift response to a few different things that have happened in the community. There is a very, very strict no bullying policy in the world of motor racing. That includes esports motor racing as well. And there is a no tolerance policy to everything like that goes on. FRG have mirrored those sentiments, I believe, in the pre-race briefings, and I just wanted to take a moment to recognise that, how important that is as we continue our journey into becoming a bigger and bigger part of the motorsports space. That message is going to be so important to the growth of things and the growth of the community as a whole as we continue our climb. So for the meantime, Rattray White does continue to lead the way.
Is that Chris Mitchell? Yes, it's Chris Mitchell we're watching there. So, yeah, Chris doing a great job, but he's 10 seconds back up the road behind himself.
Back up from our lead up at the moment. He's only 3 seconds or so behind Jordan Mazzaroli, so he can continue to be making some time. The key factor for this one is going to be Alex Beswick, who's just in behind him. If those guys can work together, they've got to work together. Look at the attitude out of Alex Beswick. Millington made a mistake. Beck has managed to cut his way through and pick that spot off as well. So a few drivers will be changing positions up and down the field.
If I look at Mitchell and give him 10-second penalty, he's running at 19. That's an unfortunate thing. We're running down the outside of the main straight here.
Now I understood what you meant by your comment before. Yep, 10-second penalty. That does have to be applied to Chris Mitchell.
Yes.
That makes a lot more sense. I'm sitting here thinking, has Dave Roberts lost his marbles? No, Dave Roberts is completely not the same.
Yeah, no, I've lost some marbles. I lost them age in the Gascot.
Well, I hope you don't lose a slick tyre bouncing down the road on the run down of the hairpin, at least here tonight, because these guys are continuing to battle along the way. That's that margin. Seth Burchards to Chris Mitchell, 7.4 seconds, so he'll at least drop in behind Burchards.
That's close under brakes there with Beswick right up the back of Chris Mitchell.
looking for a way through and just not being provided with one. As it stands, Kane Ryder's not making any forward progress towards that front group of cars either. So he has definitely lost touch with them, not quite able to match it. It's only a couple tenths of a second a lap, but that is all that you need to lose touch with that lead group. Hydes is trying to make some speed up towards Eddie Beswick to see if he can at least stay relevant. And I think Geordie Slater has just lost touch with that group, the 8th place car.
Yeah, these cars are hard to pass in. The little bit of error they have is just enough that when you get behind a car, it upsets the airflow and you don't really have the grip that you need. So it makes it very, very hard to pass someone. Well, it's a very wide, and a big jump on the curb there and a bit of grass to finish it off. So Eddie Beswick, our current Australian Formula Ford, newly crowned Formula Ford champion of the real world, out here having a bit of fun in a digital F4 car.
Keeping his skills fresh and working on racecraft timing. It's all the same stuff, isn't it? It's the same throttle choices, the same curves and everything. And it's about making sure that not only do you keep yourself improving, but you look at every opportunity that you've got to work on yourself. Hyde is going to look for a move down the inside at the moment. He is going to overtake Eddie Beswick and get that job done. So a little bit of slipstreaming help. You're going to try and go in pursuit of Kane Ryder.
They may be working together, I think, and talking to each other there and saying, swapping the toe, try and drag themselves back up to the guys in front and get away from the guys behind.
Something's just happened to Chris Mitchell. He's just lost quite a few spots and drops out a 14th spot. Was sitting in 10th, remember? Becker's gone through and now is at the head of that little group.
Here we go. Got a replay coming. So down to the hairpin by the looks of it. So Mitchell in front there. Beswick behind him. Oh, yep, a little tag in the rear. And that's not Eddie Beswick, Alex Beswick. So I think that there's probably another 10-second penalty going to somebody there in a second. Oh, yeah. Tagged. I said he was close the last lap. Very, very close up behind him. A little bit too close that time.
He hasn't missed it by much either, that braking zone, but it is enough just to make contact. And the 29 machine sits in behind Chris Mitchell once more. The big key, they haven't lost touch this pack. They're all still quite close together. That is our lead pack. It is still 4. You can see Kane Ryder now really starting to drift back out to 3.3 seconds. Can Caleb Hydes make some ground on those guys? I think is a real key question. And on the most recent lap, he did take 0.3 of a second out of him, but some of that was due to the toe. But he might have a little bit of pace, although some of that was in the final sector. So it'll be a little bit of a chase. This is the ride on board of Damon Woods, as he keeps an eye on his compatriots ahead. Well,
a really difficult corner, this one. It just keeps tightening up and tightening up and tightening up, doesn't it?
And Dave Roberts, I want to call you a man with a crystal ball, because you got that penalty bang on, 10-second penalty for hazard.
It wasn't hard. Maybe I could get a job as a F1 steward, because they seem to need some help.
All right, I'm in for an interesting watch when I finally do get around to that Formula 1 race then.
Yeah.
And Damon Woods, is he finally going to lose a race here tonight is the big question that we've got on our lips. It's been a very, very long time. He's gone through this championship and the entirety of the Formula Ford championship, having won everything.
It's good to see it being him having to fight for this and not being out in the lead. And touch wood, Rat Ray White doing a superb job out there in front.
Is he being used at the moment for his ability for the others to save fuel? Because they are saving it a lot of fuel back into this straight. Watch these gaps as they come off of first 3-4 corners. Burst gets up to him. 213, 216, dips. And it comes up again, then dips, and then it comes up again, and then it dips. Yeah, he is definitely saving massive amounts of fuel.
Yep.
Interesting to see if he'll actually save on the run down the chicane again. No, that's just a minor lift. That seems to be to get the car to pivot and rotate in there, so that's not fuel saving. So where is fuel saving going on here, Dave, because, well, if it's difficult to make the overtake like you said, you can make it somewhere else.
A little bit was into that chicane. I'll probably save a bit down here, maybe down here, brake a bit early, do a bit of a lift and coast into the tight right-hander. Not really close enough.
Just hearing an issue for Callum Newton, unfortunately, with whatever's going on with his either his internet connection or, unfortunately, might even be hardware related as well. It's not all issues related to the sim. I think Eddie Beswick might have just gone around out of the chicane. Got a slow car down the front straight away, and there's Jordan Mazzarelli's dived in the pit lane at the same time.
Here he goes. He's going to tow up, and then it's he'll lift off. He's lifting off about now, and rolling in, and it's a lift and coast down to this hairpin. That's the main place he's doing a bit of fuel saving. It's the only place he's sort of the straight is long enough for him to lift and coast, and I think Damon's doing exactly the same thing behind him. So this will be a lot of this will be played out in the pit stop. Whoa, yep.
And what's going on here? So this is the Eddie Beswick incident as they come out in the main straight. Jumps the curb,
yeah.
jumps the second curb, and it is just too much. Goes aerial.
Saved it. Oh, and then backed into the wall. He is to be okay, is he? Yeah, looks like. Yeah.
Still circulating. I'm not detecting any damage. If it is some, it's incredibly minor. In the meantime, Becker and Millington are going hard at it for 9th and 10th on the road. Ben Roberts has already done his pit stop, and Jordan Mazzarelli was the second one to do it. Caleb Hydes is having a lot of issues coming through that chicane now, because he's just been off the last 2 laps in a row at that final chicane. Took to the grass quite excessively on the current lap.
It's a difficult little thing. If you try and push it through there, you take too much of that second bump, it spits the car a bit too high in the air, and you end up in the grass and you're off the road, which is exactly what happened to Beswick there. But yeah, you just got to give it a little bit of respect.
There's our front 4 in Kane Ryder and Caleb Hydes. Gives you a sense of what's going on. Isaac Becker also dives in the pit lane. Callum Newton and Alex Beswick all through the lane, and that looks like a wing change, I think, for Alex Beswick based on that pit stop time.
Yeah, we got 10 minutes to go, so they should all be heading into the pits pretty soon.
Alex Beswick incredibly close to the blend line there on the way past the pit lane exit. So 20 minutes coming up in a few moments, and we'll leave us with the final 10 minutes of the race. Rattray White still has the lead, but when do they all peel off for the lane?
There's nothing in this, is there? Nothing in this at all.
Absolutely nothing. 4 cars all tied together.
Well, you know, the pit stop time, nobody's in. Did Carl and Chin go in then?
Nope. Kane certainly went in.
So the front 4 continue on.
And
Kane's in there.
Kane has cut his way into the pit lane, as has Geordie Slater. So sort of.
And they've got 20 seconds on Hayden Millington. So Millington's past the pair of them, but Millington's yet to stop. So Mitchell Albert as well.
Interesting to see how they all go. Run down to the hairpin once again, and again Rattray White is just being forced to punch that hole in the air. So Caitlin Chin sits at the back end of this pack, and he's probably got the opportunity to save the most fuel out of a lot of them. Danny Davison also went at the pit lane.
I think Caitlin's sort of just struggling to stay on the back. He is on the back of them, but he's not right on the back of them. He's got a couple of car lengths in there. I'm not sure that he's quite got the pace. I think he's staying there with the toe, basically.
Ben Roberts has come out in behind Geordie Slater by about 3.5 seconds at the moment. That's worthwhile keeping an eye on. And unfortunately for Callum Newton, his internet and issues that he's been dealing with throughout the night is going to necessitate a retirement because it's creating a danger to the other competitors. Which is sad, but it is a fact of life. We're all going to come on in all at the same time. Who continued on? Rattray White and Burst both came in. Damon Woods and Kalen Chin will continue on. Right, well, Damon Woods, if you've got some pace to show, it'll be this lap.
This is the time to show it.
All been holding back. Hydes now comes in the pit lane as well. And I just heard the alarm go off again. So Millington's in. Mitchell Albert also comes on in.
Looks like Rattray White got back out in front of Dylan Burst.
So fuel saving didn't work enough for Dylan Burst to get that job done. So maybe it was the time pulling up in the stall because there is quite a margin between those two cars.
Yep.
So Rattray White may have attacked and underfueled the car on his own. Just to try and shake things up just a little bit. Try and create some margin. Margin is 1.2 seconds, so he's dropped the draft back to Dylan Burst, but
I'm hoping he's got it right because he's driven so well. He deserves for this to pay off for him. Now,
led every lap
we go.
Until now.
Next
Damon Woods
getting into the pits this time round.
This is on the run down to turn number 15. And we will now get an opportunity as they tip in. There was some fuel saving to try and make this one back, and they are both going to come diving onto the pit lane. Chin and Woods now both in. And Kalen Chin was right on the gearbox as they entered the pit lane. Damon Woods. So he was pushing quite hard on that pit lane entry. We are going to get this one decided in just a few moments. Where is Rattray White? How long is this up going to be?
Now.
For the front two. As he drives on down the pit lane, I think he might have it again. They're just about even as they get through turn number 1, but he is definitely going to get clear. Is Damon Woods going to feed back out ahead? Will be the big old question on everyone's lips.
Burst has got him. Burst
has managed to skip back through, so the order doesn't change in our front four whatsoever, but now what do they do to try and support? There's some bump drafting going on, I can tell you. They are desperate to get back into Zach Rattray White's toe. Absolutely desperate.
Yeah, go, go, go.
I think they might have just picked it up. Fifth has now come up as well. Caleb Hydes has managed to run down Kane Ryder. So this one will be a battle fought out on the track.
I just at the front, Rattray White is still managing to hold that little gap to the chasers, so doing a great job there. And as is Kane Ryder here, driving really smart, keeping the neat line and well-positioned car to hold off Caleb Hydes. They're doing a really good job at the moment.
Into the final 5 minutes of the race now. Dylan Burst goes ahead and sets the fastest lap of the race with a ton of tow from Zach Rattray White. Drafter coming from behind as well. Got this battle pack. Jordan Mazzaroli out of 11th spot. Damon Woods now gets the nose to the inside on Dylan Burst, and Burst immediately backs out and abandons that one. So change for P2. But it's soon become a change for the lead.
Yes. Because they've deliberately not been passing, so can they pass with that toe? It looks like they possibly can.
Oh boy, boy, he is really closing in. Cuts to the inside to get some of that clean air as he tries to brake and turn the car in. I can tell you the battle between Hines and Ryder is heating up as well. They are throwing everything they've got at each other. Kane sits in fifth, but Caleb Hines has had his work cut out for him to try and run down Kane. He did manage to do it. Now he's got to try and...
Catching and passing are two different things, though, as I always say.
I would have to say manipulate his way into an overtake here is the big key. And I think it's going to come down to manipulate, and he's already forcing Ryder to cover him. Was that just a move to the inside of the road? Oh, they made contact!
That was just bad.
Oh, they're going to make contact again.
I think that there's no point because that's going to be a penalty for that's going to be a penalty for Hides anyway.
It'll depend if there was a jink from Kane Ryder. There could have been a jink.
Yeah, that was just a straight around the back of the guy in front. Now, big move down the outside here by Damon Woods.
Oh, this is
down the outside into the hairpin, but he's not able to pull it off at the moment. It's really tight.
Yeah, so it's on live pictures for first, second, third, and fourth. So they're going to go side by side as they come off the hairpin, and Rattray White is just yielding. So he may not have enough fuel. He did have a very, very short pit stop to Zach Rattray White to try and manipulate this front pack and do everything he possibly could. Hasn't worked for him. Now he's back to second spot. So, Kane Ryder has managed to get back by Caleb Hines, although that might have been a redress.
Yeah, I'm expecting it would be.
It wasn't a race control issued one though, so it was a manual redress done by the drivers. Jordy Slater's continuing to close in on that battle pack too.
Which is good to see, that's good sportsmanship.
Oh, a little bit of an issue. Zach Rattray White as he has a wiggle coming down into the final chicane. Top four, throw a blanket over him. With 1 minute and 45 seconds left on the clock. 2 more laps left to run. They will have just enough time to get 2 more laps in the book. There's battles on for the race lead. There is battles on for 5th and 6th as well. And I think we're going to stay with this battle because it'll tell us the story of if Zach Rattray White's got enough fuel to do 2 laps or not. Covers to the middle of the road, so he's definitely looking to cover enough to disincentivize the overtake attempt from Dylan Burse.
I can hear a little bit of 10-second penalty for Caleb Hines. That was just a okay. I got a crystal ball, but it was never going to be anything else. But
it just mattered whether or not it was 5 or 10 seconds. I think it would be the only thing. It was always going to be a penalty.
It was always going to be a penalty. Figured it'd probably be 10 based on what they've been giving out.
I think that's valid. On the run of the final sector once more. The final couple of corners. 4 cars up for the lead of the race. They've run away all night long. Will Kalen Shin have a crack? Does Zach Rattray White have any opportunity to throw something back at these guys? And remember, draft slipstream games are going to commence from Damon Woods. Cuts it across the left-hand side of the road. He's not offering any support to Rattray White. We'll have to do it all his own way. Dylan Burse from Kalen Shin. Is anyone going to shake up and change the podium positions? We said tonight might be the opportunity for Rattray White.
So are we under the white flag stop? Did you see white?
Definitely had. Well, time has expired, so we'll definitely be on the last lap of the race, confirmed. No matter what, at this point in time. Run down to the Adelaide hairpin, picking up some speed. Again, just tries to disincentivize the overtake, but Rattray White, I think, is tight on fuel. Kalen Shin tries to dive down the inside and have a go. Cannot get the drive out the other side. So they'll all maintain positions. That was the best spot on the lap to try and get it done. From here, it's a lot more difficult. Caleb Hines is still attached to Kane Ryder as well.
There's not much in this with the Ford. Woods just seems to have that little tiny bit extra pace that he can lean on, and it's hundredths, not even tenths of a second, but it's just enough that he can just pull that little tiny gap there and just put himself in a safe place.
And they're going to run out of time, I think, to try and get this one done. Rattray White threw everything he had at him, tried the undercut, tried to throw the fuel at him. It just did not work. You cannot break Damon Woods this way. It's going to be another win for Damon Woods. As it currently stands, 2 more corners to navigate. Does Rattray White have enough fuel to get back to the line? That will be the big key. Yes, he does.
And Callum Chin's gone round in the background.
So Chin will make the finish line, but he won't be attached to the back end of these guys as he has an issue right at the end of that one. Dylan Burse comes home in P3. Chin will take P4. Kane Ryder gets home in 5th spot.
5th. Well driven. Caleb Hyde's in 6th. Well, Caleb Hyde's in 6th plus 10 seconds.
Yeah, so that's going to elevate Geordie Slater, Ben Roberts, Eddie Beswick, maybe Hayden Millington. Inside, 750 is going to come across the line. Take that one away for Danny Davison. Chase Saxield hunting him down for 16th.
All over.
And, difficult night at the office for Vaughan Ryder. Didn't look like he had pace, unfortunately, the other max boost entry.
Chris Mitchell
had enough of this place.
And he's got 10 seconds to add to that as well.
He's not had a lucky season at all.
No. I think it's tough for a lot of the guys because, if you look at Chris Mitchell, you look at Ben Roberts, and you look at Kane Ryder, and you look at Rattray White, they're all individuals and they're running their own thing or a team of 2. But the problem there is that Damon Woods, Dylan Burse, Callan Chin, Caleb Hydes, they're all in one team and they're all working together, and add Eddie Beswick in there as well. And it's really hard because they're talking to each other, they're working together, and it's one against a pack. And it's a bit unfair, but that's the way it is, unfortunately.
Well, your podium positions. Damien Woods is going to be the across the line and taking a win from Zach Rattray White. Dylan Burse home in 3rd. Top 4 was incredibly tight from and Kane Ryder, Caleb Hydes. Geordie Slater, Ben Roberts, Eddie Beswick, and Hayden Millington home in your top 10.
The Caleb Hydes will finish 10th. They're looking at that. Add 10 seconds of his time. He'll be actually in 10th place.
Yeah, so he will drop all the way back down the order. Isaac Becker is going to finish just outside of the top 10 in 11th spot. Mitchell Albert home in 12th. Jordan Mazzarelli in 13th. Seth Burchards from Alex Wilson. Danny Davison. Chase Saxield thought he would have had an opportunity. Unfortunately, did make contact with Alex Beswick. Tumble down the order. Danny Davison actually recovered not too bad to get back to 16th. Thomas Donahue in 19th. And Sebastian Vondel with all that damage. And William Motorsports Machine home in 20th. Tough night at the office for him. Vaughan Ryder, Chris Mitchell, and Callum Newton rounds out a thinned outfield. Callum Newton, tough night for him as well with connection issues. Might have been hardware issues. I have been seeing a couple of issues at the moment with graphics and a few people complaining about that one. So some work to do. It looks to be punishing hardware yet again, as it always seems to do as the seasons go on. 23 cars in operation tonight, and Chris Mitchell was the last one of those home. She was a tough old night at the office, Dave, and a torrential rain to start us off. And then that little race with 4 cars fighting for a win on the final lap of the race to finish.
Would have thought you were in Melbourne, wouldn't you?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, rain one minute, bright sunshine the next. It's got to be Melbourne.
Well, the other 2 seasons we haven't witnessed either, so we need something, a couple conditions in the middle to round us out. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap us up here tonight from the FRG racing that's going on. Next round, where are we going to be heading? It is over to Circuit de Lebanon. That might be some shots from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I believe, actually. I know those safer barriers and that curve angle quite, the corner angle quite well. So, but anyway, we're heading to Circuit de Lebanon, which is challenging, tough. We're going to stay in France, by the way, for that one. Unfortunately, Dave, I got bad news. I have to take a work trip to Sydney, so I'm actually not here next week, and I love Lebanon. Lebanon's one of my favourite tracks of all time.
Oh, well, maybe you can take your rig. Since you can't commentate, maybe you can drive.
Won't fit on the plane. Actually, I've seen some photos. I will say I've had the opportunity to see some photos of rigs that have been cut into caravans, which has been really, really cool to keep an eye on over a couple of friends on Facebook.
That's pretty neat.
We will do funny things to support our passions, support our hobbies, and support everyone around us. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've had a good night witnessing everything we've got here. Next week, we'll be live once again from 8:25 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. If you want to have a crack at getting involved, free content next week, by the way. If you join as part of the Motorsport Australia program, you get the F4 car. Will be delivered to your inbox. Best yet, Circuit to Lebanon is a tiny little circuit developed for these sorts of cars. Tiny little cars on tiny little circuits. It's a brilliant little place that challenges all of the capabilities you've got to offer. It's a perfect place to learn. I'm going to go racing on the iRacing platform. Will you be joining the grid for the sport field next time out? And hopefully a little bit better weather. Well, you'll have to qualify next Sunday, the 27th of October. Qualifying servers, Dave, start from 7 p.m. local time, Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time.
Yeah. I think. I don't know. I'm not on that time zone, so I get lost all the time.
We might get lost next week over at Circuit to Lebanon. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to bring you all the action on behalf of Formula Racing Group, on behalf of SimSpeed, the commentators box, and everything that's happened. We will see you all next week.
Cheers, Scott.
It's motorsport, but not as you know it. Test yourself and your everyday road car. Safe, affordable, but most of all, fun. And all you need is your daily driver. Experience the thrill of a sprint day. Race against the clock at a hill climb. Or test your reflexes with an auto test. It takes just 3 simple steps to get started. Get on the start line. Search Motorsport Australia Daily Driver today.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.